principals, teachers, classified staff, whoever you are, we're so happy to have you back this week on our video series supporting positive behavior during TSD at home. I'm Erica Lopez, Thompson's PBIS coach.
And I'm Nikki Van Essen, Thompson's Bullying Prevention Coordinator. This series comes out to you every week and it covers topics all about how to support positive student behaviors during TSD at home learning. It's intended for building leadership, teachers, support staff, unicorns, or anyone that supports our Thompson School District students.
These videos can be found on the TSD Professional Development site, Virtual Learning, which is linked on this title slide. This week's segment is on the Tiered Fidelity Inventory, or TFI survey, that each school's PBIS team must complete.
Each of the surveys we take to measure PBIS fidelity and implementation are created within the organization PBIS apps. Today, we're going to explain the first one on the list, the TFI. It is recommended to be taken 3 times a year, and if your school is participating in the CDE PBIS training series, it's a requirement to submit an end-of-year survey or your 3rd survey of the year. This year in TSD, this includes all secondary schools because of their participation in the CDE training and all elementary schools. As you are completing the survey, you will notice it's divided into 3 tiers, 1, 2, and 3. As a reminder, Tier 1 refers to all students, for example, your school-wide expectations. Tier 2 means some students, for example, students participating in check-in, check-out. And Tier 3 means a few students, for example, students on behavior plans.
Thanks to Jody Wardlow, the Dean at High Plains School, the TFI survey has been converted into a Google form to help teams complete it virtually. As Erica stated, the TFI is broken into 3 tiers. The first page covers Tier 1. Each tier has subscales. Tier 1 has a subscale of teams, implementation, and evaluation. Tier 2 has a subscale of teams, interventions, and evaluation. And Tier 3 has a subscale of teams, resources, support plan, and evaluation. When team members take the survey and submit it, it will go to the contributor of the Google form, which most likely will be the PBIS school lead. Each item asks teams to score on a scale of 0, 1, or 2. For example, let's look at item 1.2.
A 0 means not implemented, 1 means partially implemented, and 2 means fully implemented. There are a couple pieces of advice we give teams when they are completing the survey. First, go with your instinct. It is okay that your school may receive a low score. The survey is intended to guide the work of the group, not serve as a gotcha. The spectrum of a 1 is anything from low implementation to just short of full fidelity. It is important to make a note or share out with the team when you select a 1, so the team can be purposeful in selecting the priority work. It is also important to keep in mind the level of communication with your school community. For instance, perhaps the group lands on a 2 for an item. Are all school staff aware of these efforts of the team? On the next slide in the video, you will find a link to both the digital interactive Google form as well as this original PDF of the TFI. We wanted to include the PDF because it includes ideas that could serve as possible data sources or artifacts for each item. An example of a data source for item 1.2 would be your team meeting agenda and minutes, or team meeting role descriptions, or possibly your Tier 1 action plan.
Your team has a few options for collecting TFI data. You can schedule a time for each of your team members to meet and complete the TFI together. Your PBIS team lead can share this TFI Google form and bring the team together for discussion on results. Or Your PBIS team lead can share the Google form, collect responses, and average the score that is collected on each item. When deciding on a score, the group's majority is documented. If there are large discrepancies or a tie within the group, take the opportunity to have a group discussion. Once your data is consolidated, the school's PBIS team lead will input the scores into PBIS apps. As always, contact your district PBIS coach for support. Your TFI window is open.
So after your scores have been inputted into PBIS apps and you've retrieved the various reports, what will you do with the data? Remember, there are 4 steps to the problem-solving process: problem definition, problem analysis, plan implementation, and evaluation of the plan. Through your TFI discussion, you will be determining where there might be needs for change, which is helping to define the problem, and you analyze what are the factors that contribute to that problem. That's what you want to address in action planning. So you will now be in step 3 of the problem-solving process. During plan implementation, you will engage in strategic action planning. To make sure you have a well-structured plan that you can implement, document answers to these questions. What do we need to do to eliminate the issues that are contributing to the problem? What changes in adult systems or practices should we make? Once you know what you want to do, make sure you come up with timelines, responsible parties, and how and when you will track your progress towards completing all tasks. If you need a template for your action planning, please consider using the TFI Action Planning tool, linked on the bottom right of this slide. We're so glad you tuned into this week's segment of TSD at Home, supporting positive behaviors.
Remember, we believe in you and unicorns, but mostly you.
We'll see you next time.